What's going on there, YouTube? Saturday night again. I'm out in the workshop. Kind of started a theme here, doing these kind of just hangout videos. I like to start by doing something productive, something I need to do. I've got my new welder here. This is a Hobart Handler 140 MIG welder. I bought it a couple weeks ago to weld some brackets on my 58 Chevy. And I got the tip of it gummed up pretty good. I'm just doing flux core, so it's a little messy. And my wire jammed. So, me being inexperienced, I cranked down the tensioner on the feed mechanism, and I snapped my wire, and I left it. So, that's my productive house cleaning, I guess, of the day. So I went ahead and refed my wire, got all it trimmed and wound back up, and adjusted the tensioner back to where it was supposed to be. I went ahead and cleaned out the tip, cleaned it up as best I could. Still a little smoky. Hoping it's going to feed through. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do any welding today. This has been sitting in my hallway. I thought I needed to get it out here in the shop where I need it to be. So got it out here, got it cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can run the wire through, and then we'll see what's next for tonight. Alright guys, so I got the welder out of the way. For products this week, I've got some more hardware. I made my order I was talking about from Locked Up RC. This was $75 worth of scale hardware. Doesn't look like a whole lot, but it lasts pretty good. I hadn't bought quite that much before, and there's my scissors. It lasted me pretty well. I did a few big builds with it. Now they sell, I know I could have just ripped that open. I got stainless and zinc coated. These are all 3mm scale bolts. I bought duplicates of things that I know I'm going to use a lot. Some of these are, I think the stainless, I bought a set. You can buy what I guess they just call it a whole vehicle set. It's a little bit of everything. And I did that in the stainless. Apparently I bought 2 sets. Looks like I've got varying lengths, short, longer. Maybe I only got 1 set. There, here, and here. And it comes with these conical washers, which never comes with enough. I could use a lot more of those. And it comes with some little drivers for, I don't know what. They look a little better than the ones I got last time. But on my last order, I did go ahead and order one of these hardened steel 3mm drivers from them. Or is that a 2? Oh, that's a 2. I've got a 3 somewhere as well. But it's much more durable. And if you're going to do a whole lot of building like I do, the more the merrier. So in the zinc coated, I went ahead and got, looks like 2 sets of about 8mm. Those are 8, 10, is that maybe 12. I got 2 of a couple different sizes, so hopefully this will get us through another batch of scratch builds. I'm not going to show you me putting all these in order in here. I keep them in all my scale hardware in this little bin, which is going to be tight, but I got to keep it organized, so let me get all that sorted out. Alright guys, I got my hardware sorted out. Got my little bin here filled up nicely. Everything's sorted out, so now won't be scrounging around and cutting bolts down. I figured it was time to take a look at number 4. I got these links we talked about a couple videos ago from Drink Machine Shop, Dillon Rink, and I'm looking at putting these on. It's going to change a little bit of the geometry because they are a little shorter than these monsters that I made. So it's going to have to look at some different ways of mounting them, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to drill out the holes so the bolts and stuff fit through. But yeah, need to do it. Just trying to take care of little things here and there and knock some of these little things off my list so I can clear my head and focus on some big projects. I've still been thinking a lot about the mud truck idea. I was scrounging for some parts earlier. Found some stuff that where'd it go? I still have this brand new RC 4-wheel drive radiator and hose kit that would look really cool on the back of a tube frame on a mud truck. I am waiting on my Reader's Ride of the Month prize. I got a body from Proline. You know, I'm not a fan of Lexan, but I don't know, something about this mud truck idea. I'm getting some ideas. So I don't know. No promises or guarantees anything's going to come from that, but I really wanted to try to get a chassis rolling. I'm not sure yet if I'd want to do linked or I want to do leaf springs. And you see mud trucks both ways. It's kind of like a progression. They start out leaf sprung and then they swap to giant coilovers and leaf springs later as the money comes. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull these stock bananas off of here that I made, and we'll start looking at ways to mount these new ones on. Alright guys, so moving on. That ain't going to work. I didn't think that through all the way. Those machine brackets are titanium, and Lord knows I don't have a sharp drill bit, let alone one sharp enough to drill through that titanium. I got all kinds of stuff glowing hot, and it wasn't going anywhere. The drill bit was just starting to come undone, so we're going to have to wait on that project until I can get some better drill bits. It started to cut in it, but it was just making heat. It wasn't getting anything accomplished, so I don't want to damage the part. I'm going to wait, and we'll hit that again later. I'll have to go drill bit shopping because all of mine are missing in that size. All my good ones anyway. So let's figure out what to do next. I really don't know. I didn't come into this video with a plan quite like I had last week. I just thought, get the ball rolling, get out here, start tearing into something, and see what happens. I think I'm going to drag some parts out, and we're going to start looking at a frame for this mud truck build. Alright, so I've got most stuff laid out. I'm still not sure yet on suspension. I've dug around. I only have enough stuff to do rear leaf springs. I'm missing a set of these for the front. It's no big deal. I've got 4-link stuff. I mean, both these axles already have 4-link trusses. I'm still not sure. We're going to have to tinker with different suspensions. It needs to be pretty stiff. If it's going to be a mud truck, I don't want it rolling over in the corners. I've got some bruiser shackles. See if we can't get a little more lift out of it if we need it. These are the mud tires from that toy grade Gravedigger little monster truck RC, and they're not super big. They're just kind of an average. They're kind of a low profile wide 1.9, so we may not need a whole lot of lift. I won't be able to tell till we figure out what body we're going to run. I don't have any spare bodies to put on this right now. I've got hot rod bodies, and I have a Hilux body that is cut up beyond use. That is it. So I don't know yet. We're just gonna. I really just want to get something rolling here. See what it looks like. See if we can get a feel for it. Being a mud truck, I want to keep this. I want to make the top end scale. So I'm going to use this old R1 transmission from RC 4-wheel drive, and I'm going to mount it. I don't know yet how low it's going to be in the chassis, but that'll keep the motor and the RC stuff out of the way and give us room to do something wild up top. Maybe something with this Kevin Kirk engine. If you haven't seen these yet, they're designed and built by Kevin Kirk. You can find him on Facebook. He builds a dozen or so at a time. They're all kind of hand machined, and some of them he make them out of Delrin or aluminum. I think that one was about 130 bucks. So he gets a pretty big backlog. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I know y'all are going to ask. Some of y'all hadn't seen him yet. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm thinking maybe that. I've got the fancy RC 4-wheel drive fuel cell, and I've got my radiator. I've got this old school Moon racing gas pedal. I don't know if that'll get used. Just little things to pull inspiration from. A couple things still. I need to find some 4-link mounts for the front, which I know I have for a Trail Finder 2 frame. I guess I need to find some rods. I hope I haven't used them all on hot rods for suspension, which I might. I think I've got some Jalan 2s up here I can rob. Not super worried about the wheelbase yet, because like I said, we don't know what body, we don't know how it's going to lay out. I don't know if I'm going to make like a traditional mud truck, or it's going to be like on the verge of being a monster truck, or is it going to be like a mud drag racing kind of deal. I don't know. We just got to kind of go with the flow and see what happens. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and start putting some suspension on this. I've got to start by pulling this truss off the back, and then I'll get my leaf springs and stuff hung, and we'll start looking at ride heights and how many leaves to put in. Alright guys, so I'm working on this. I've got the leaf springs. I found some. I'm running out of stuff. These were the closest to I had. They're the closest to the same wear. I went ahead and put 2 helper leaves on it because we do want this pretty stiff. I've used some of my new scale hardware. Found the right length now. It goes all the way through both halves of the cast axle to add some strength to it. This is probably one of my least favorite parts here of the Trail Finder 2. The way the rear shackles, or all the shackles actually, they mount from the inside. Excuse me. If you follow the instructions, you're supposed to put them on before the halves of the frame go together, but that makes taking them off later a real pain in the butt. As you can see, it's not designed to do it this way, so I've got them started by hand. We'll probably screw up the heads of the bolts doing them like this, but YOLO, I don't know. Does anybody even say that anymore? I'm going to do it like this because I don't want to take the rest of it apart. I mean, there's only three more bolts to take the chassis in halves, but if I can't get it all the way tight here with my nut driver, I will, well, they're tightening up. So I could just tighten them with a small wrench, but this is going to work. I've done it before. These scale bolts work better at a bad angle than the original RC 4-wheel drive hardware did. You can see through, they're almost flush. That's the perfect length. I think those were about 8mm maybe. Let's see. Make sure you can even see here. I don't know how to set the camera for this. I need I don't know, a stable GoPro I can just strap to my head so you can see what I'm seeing, but that doesn't quite work. Now I've got these aren't right. Oh no. I forgot about that. So the rear hangers, the shackles for the rear, mount off of little doodads that look like that fit into the frame. And I don't have any of those. I had to order, I think, a whole leaf spring set off of eBay just to get some when I built my other Trail Finder 2 I had. Looking around at my parts, I don't have any. Alright, so now we got to rethink the rear. I'm going to go ahead and put the front eyelets in. We'll get this on here so we can get an idea if we really need those or not. I've run without them before. You lose some ride height, but it is doable, especially with these old Bruiser. These are RC 4-wheel drive remade Bruiser shackles. Excuse me. Let me find some. Where's my hardware? Grab a handful of these nuts. We're gonna need some. These nuts I bought from. I didn't mean to buy them from China. They were on eBay or Amazon, I think, and I think I bought 300 of them for like $12 shipped. And you know, Amazon's hard to shop on. You don't always. It doesn't always tell you where the seller is. It's not like eBay. When it's not clear, it says exactly where the seller's from. So it wasn't until after I ordered them that it said expected ship date or delivery date was like 3 months out. So I was pretty upset about that. But they did arrive, and they were exactly what I ordered, so price was right. I just had to wait a little while to get them. It didn't take 3 months. It took probably about 6 weeks, which is still, in the scale world of things, is too long. But get this thing flipped over, maybe. Where's that one? Loose. Alright, we're good. So, let's see what we're looking like here. See, that's, well, that might work. It's going to put the pinion angle off a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just do it for now because I don't have any other option. if the need be, I will get some other parts in. So, phone's vibrating. Why is it not ringing? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on, and we'll get a look at what the rear end's gonna look like. All right, guys. So, the rear is a roller. I went ahead and I didn't put the right kind of hardware in the top. I just got it on there temporarily because it does make the pinion angle off, and we do need those pieces. So, I've got to figure out what to do with that. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and just keep trucking along. I think I found some 4-link mounts or 3-link mounts for the front. I hope this was the right. I think that's the right piece. It looks like the holes line up. I've got the right truss on that front axle. Tires look a little small. I don't know. I think I want to say those RC 4-wheel drive tractor tires that they had. I had some that came in a mystery box. I think they were only available in 2.2. I don't think they had those in 1.9 or 1.55. So I don't know. They were really tall and really narrow. They looked the part. These are a little bit different. So I don't know yet what this build's going to be. But I'm going to go ahead and start trying to hang the front end. Excuse me. I've been feeling a little under the weather all week. It's been raining here off and on, and I keep coughing, waking up congested. But anyway, I think I've got enough stuff to do that. I've got the lower link mounts for the frame. I've got the 3rd link mount for the frame, or the panhard. Just putting the links together is going to be the challenge, because I've robbed so many of my RC 4-wheel drive links for hot rods, steering links and front suspensions and all that. I don't know what I've got left, and it's very certain sizes. The Jalon 2, like the panhard bar on the Jalon 2 is a different length than the one for the Trail Finder, so that creates issues. Do I have the right? Okay. Oh wait, I still have one on there. Sweet. I do have one of the ballistic fabrication diff covers for the Yoda 2s. I thought about doing that on here. If we end up going with this and we make it an American vehicle, I'll probably have to order another one and swap those out, because I don't want them looking like Toyota axles. But we'll cross that bridge later. Not worried about the basics, the details right now. I mean, I've got a few odds and ends like the radiator and things I plan on using, but right now I just want to get a rolling chassis so we can get a stance, an idea of a look, and go from there. As far as shocks go, I've got a few options. I mean, I've got RC 4-wheel drive shocks. I think I still have, I don't know. And again, we have to make a decision. Is this going to be a full-on mud truck? If we're going to run some giant monster shocks like this. I got some standard SEX 10-2 shocks, or SEX 10 shocks. Or do we want to run standard shocks in the back and maybe something like these RC 4-wheel drive ones up front? And are they going to be tall enough? And I may have to swap these upper shock hoops out. Y'all can't even see that. Not bad. May have to swap these out. These are from Jalon 2. They are taller. They have 2 shock holes. You can do that on the standard Trail Finder 2 because your front shocks have very limited travel, so you put the Jalon 2 hoops on and you get a lot more travel out of it. But in this case, I think I'm going to need more lift than I am going to need travel, which is going to be a very stiff suspension. So I think once I get the front hung, I'm probably going to swap those down to the standard Trail Finder 2 hoops, and I think I'm going to roll with these up front for now just because we're having to do the 3-link. So I'm going to get the parts together here, and we'll see what happens next. Alright guys, so I've been working on this for a while, trying to piece everything back together. All I had for hardware, or for links and stuff, was Jalon 2 components. I don't have any more of the short, straight rod ends to get the steering link connected. That is aggravating because I'm so close. I've got the 3-link set up. I've got it pretty straight when it's about yay high. And it sets a little bit higher in the front, which I'm fine with. Excuse me. Because once we get the rear fixed with the little drop brackets that I might have a hard time finding, it's gonna bring the back up level. I'm looking at shocks, and I've got a couple issues here. One, I'm pretty sure my front shock mounts are in the wrong spot because they need to be back here. And two, with these tires being so wide, I have no room for shocks. They come all the way, hit the lower rods, they hit the frame, they hit everything. I'm pretty sure they go back on these holes. I don't know why I did that. I just took the other ones off. That's how it was mocked up before. This was just a spare chassis that I built out of parts. So I'm thinking wheel wideners. I was wanting to do them all the way around. I think that's going to be a good look with these tires on whatever body that we end up finding. But I only have two right now, and they are big. These are, I think they're Boom Racing. And I want to say they're 12 millimeter or 14 millimeter wideners. So I don't know how it's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and put them on just because I can't find my other shock. I can't find this other RC 4-wheel drive coilover here. I've been looking everywhere for it. It's probably been 45 minutes since I filmed that last clip because I've just been rummaging through here trying to find stuff. It's frustrating, but I know it's here somewhere. I don't think I took it apart. I don't know why I would have. This place is still a mess other than the area you see here on camera that I cleaned in the last video. So it's looking cool though. I'm loving the way it sits on these tires. I think we get the front up off sitting on the axle. Get that up, get the shocks on. And then we can start playing with some bodies, just trying to get an idea of how it's going to look. I got a couple more things to find. This R1 transmission came with a little metal plate because it's about 2 or 3 millimeter narrower than the inside of the frame. And I don't know what I did with it. And I've got bins of stuff like this sitting around that are just full of stuff. So I gotta rummage through a little bit and see what I can find. This looks like it's all from the number 4 build, rat rod build. I've got some stuff more recent, some stuff older, so I'm gonna try to find what I need. I'm gonna go ahead and put the wheel wideners on. I hate not, I mean, I'd like to just sit here and talk with y'all and do all this, but I don't want to make another hour-long video because a lot of folks don't have that much time to sit and watch. Alright guys, so I'm making some progress. I got the front end in. I do have a problem. I need to swap back to the Jalon 2 shock hoops. These are the stock Jalon 2 shocks, and they are a little bit too tall for these Trail Finder 2 mounts. You can see these are a good bit taller, and they give you 2 options as far as bolting. Due to the length of panhard bar I have for the 3-link up front, it is pulling the front end off center, pulling it over to the passenger side. And the rod height about there, everything's nice and square. So, hoping that's going to do the trick. I went ahead and mounted I found my piece of aluminum that mounts between that and the frame. I mounted my R1. It is not going to work the way it is. The 3-link arm on this side is going to interfere with where the motor mounts. And if I flip it around, my front driveline angle is going to be way, way off. So we may have to, I got to find some drive shafts first. I've got that dropped as low. It has 2 mounting holes. I've got it on where it's hanging down below. So I don't know yet if that's going to work. I don't know. It sits further forward in the frame than the Trail Finder 2 transfer case. So I'm really not sure yet how it's going to work. That rear drive shaft is going to have to be 140 millimeter max, I think. I don't know. It's pretty massive, so this is all still preliminary, you know. We're just kind of brainstorming, mocking up stuff here. The rear end is going to sit higher, but I've got to do something with the front. I may not go to the top hole on the Jalon 2 hoop. Actually, I might. Just for right now, just for mocking it up, because I really need to bring the front end down. Alright guys, so here's where we're at. I swapped the front shock hoops out. I've got the wheel wideners on. I don't have any rear shocks, but everything is set up in the front. It's kind of soft. Rear's pretty stiff without shocks. It just looks mean with those tires on it. Let's see. I think let's throw a body on here just to see what it looks like. I'm curious. Let me grab my red Hilux down here. If I can pop this body off real quick. Just to see. I don't have any body mounts or anything on here. Oh man, it looks kind of cool. So the wheelbase is still pretty accurate, still pretty close to the stock trail finder. I haven't messed it up too bad with the just random links that I've used. Dude, that looks pretty cool. It looks neat sitting low like that. Now the body is about that far too low. That's how high it should set with body mounts on it, which I don't have any on this frame at the moment, but it looks mean. It looks like a dirt drag car, something like that. Let me show you the front. That thing looks mean. It doesn't really need a snorkel, but so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I wish I still had a spare Blazer body, or at least a front half of it, so I could just throw on there and kind of do a mock-up. Because originally I'm thinking mud truck. I'm thinking, just like fenders and doors and a cab, giant motor, a grill, and a cage on the back. Not anything complete. I want it to look pretty beat up, pretty banged up. Nothing complete at all. So I don't know. That's all still open to interpretation. So I'm going to wrap this part up tonight. We'll move on now. I talked about before wanting to see, because this body is more aggressive, and the other frame I have, the other Trailfinder 2 chassis, is all linked. It's got coilovers, and the Bruiser back there is more tame. It's all leaf sprung, and I've got the big tires on it and the little tires on the other one. So I'm going to swap some tires around. I got to clean up my mess here from building this, and we'll see what we can come up with. Alright, so here's what I'm talking about. This is my first Trailfinder 2 I pieced together. And it's 3-link front, 4-link rear. It's got axial SEX10 shocks. It's got the Deline 2 hoops. It's got just an RC 4-wheel drive can motor. What is that? Well, a cheap Savox servo. It's not a super hardcore high torque. It's got the rebuildable Punisher shafts and an RC 4-wheel drive Outcry ESC. Nothing fancy, still runs stick packs, but it is linked and it does flex very well. And that's why I opted to put the red body on it, because the red body is bobbed and cut and just all around a little more hardcore than the other body in the back, the weathered body. If I can get my body mounts back on. Still coughing. It's got the RC 4-wheel drive metal rock sliders, custom bumper, which I've made with this body. I did have the, so I've got the ARB bumper on the front. I did have the RC 4-wheel drive bumper with a hitch on it when I had the other body, but this will not work with the bobbed bed. It's too short. So these tires just aren't quite big enough. I think it would perform pretty well, but they just don't look right. These are GCM wheels, and they're like 1.6. They're not 1.5s. They're not 1.7s. They're somewhere in between. I can't remember, but they're very narrow. They suck the tire in for a much more scale look. You can tell the Yoda hub here almost sticks out. So this is more of a hardcore truck, so I need some more hardcore of a tire on it. And that's why on this body before I was running these big Mickey Thompsons with just the standard 155 beadlocks, because they're a little bit more aggressive, and this body's trimmed for them. I don't know if these are going to look right on this setup. I really like the way these tires and wheels look on here, even though we don't have this thing bolted down, or even centered for that matter. But I don't think they're the right fit for that truck. So I'm going to take a couple off, and we'll see what they look like on the other one, just and see if they'll even clear. I mean, I had another Trailfinder 2. I had it somewhere. I don't know where it went. Oh, I ended up selling that one. I stripped everything off of it that I needed, but This was on another Trail Finder 2 that was leaf sprung, but it had the red body and these wheels. And it worked well, but I don't know how they're going to work with the link suspension. They may be too big and still get caught up in the body. So I'm going to throw one set on one side and we'll get a look at it. Alright guys, so I did one and I realized it looks right. So I'm on the last one here. Excuse me. I did want to show you one little thing here. So to go with these narrow offset GCM wheels, I had forgotten I have a set of narrow 12mm adapters. If I can find the opening here. And these do have a lock screw. And this is the standard width. So they're a couple millimeters narrower. I'm not sure if you can see that there. Can't remember where. I want to say the original Trail Finder 2 kits came with both, but I don't think they do anymore. I don't know. I'd heard they'd come with both. I'd never had a Trail Finder 2 kit, so I bought some on eBay. Said they were RC 4-wheel drive parts. I don't have a part number or anything, so I don't know. But they help narrow these DCM wheels and make them look a little bit more scale. These are 155 mudslingers stretched over these GCM offset wheels, and they look pretty good on there. I'm going to throw the last one on, and then we'll give you a look at both trucks. Alright, so I like the way it looks. Obviously, I've got a problem. This is a fully loaded truck ready to run. It has a battery, motor, ESC, everything in it ready to go, and those tires are flat. So definitely going to have to look into foams for those. They were getting flat spotted just sitting with this empty bruiser chassis. They have nothing but a transmission in it and the body on it. Let's see, the body is off-centered. Trying to get you an idea of how much tuck we've got there. It's not much. It's a very stock-looking stance. Tires barely stick out past the fenders. It's pretty. I'm liking it. That truck is. Those other tires were way too much for the performance that chassis is going to give us. That chassis is not going to flex worth a crap. It's pretty much just going to be a trail truck. Where this, I don't think it could go to Class 2 because I don't know all the rules. I can't ever keep up with them. Seems like everybody's got slightly different rules. But this truck, with some better foams, would be a serious crawler. Excuse me again. Hope I'm not getting sick. But I love this truck. I love this. Like I said, this is one of the first bodies that I did. Mojave bodies. Let me get them side to side here so you can see how much tucking we're getting. The red one with the bob bed, it's one of my favorites. You can see it's pretty meaty. Those tires are just falling all over themselves. So definitely got to look into foams, but I think it fits better. It's more performance oriented. I'm not sure how that bumper will perform. I was having issues on that chassis before with that bumper, but the bed wasn't bobbed and I had that other bumper hanging down in the rear. And this one's bobbed and it's got that little steel bumper that I made. So I'm thinking it'll be much better. And this thing is looking pretty good. So I'll bring you over to this one. If I can keep the body on straight. It's crooked a little bit, but those are the 155 mudslingers on the GCM narrow width wheels. It's very stock looking, very tame. It fits the chassis performance, I think. But we won't know until we get them running, until we get it out and take it on a drive. I really got to do something about those flat tires. That is ugly. They just can't hold all that weight. And it's just a standard 6-cell stick pack in there. I bet they would perform pretty well. I'll probably tear them. They're so soft. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm going to leave them like this for a little while. That's what I like to do, is just get stuff and then come out here and stare at it during the week. Then come the weekend, I can figure out what I want to do with it. Can't stop coughing. I like the look a lot. May go look online real quick and check out foams and see what's available. Because that is a lot of rubber on a 155 wheel. So I don't know what they've got. I may have to layer some foams in there. I don't know. Keep brainstorming. Alright guys, so I got the bruiser put up on a shelf. Got this trail finder up on the scale jack stands. These little things, I've probably gotten the most use out of these out of any scale accessory I've had. I've got 8 of them, I think. And I use them from, like this truck is set in flat spot the tires, so I've got it underneath the axles so the tires stay okay until I can get some better foams. Really a good accessory. I'm happy with those. I did finally get my issues of RC Car Action. This was the August 2017. I got a full page with the number 2 build. I was pretty excited about that. When I got the number 1 hot rod build in, it was kind of a half a page deal. And this one I got 3 pictures. That's pretty cool. I really want to be on the cover. That's my next goal. I don't know how to achieve that, but we got to build something else that's just wild and amazing to get there, I guess. But well, it's pretty cool. My buddy Richard Cook, he built this truck for a customer of his, Adam Gilia. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. I only know all you guys on the internet, so I don't know how it's pronounced, but that's his King Pinch build. He got featured in there on the opposite page of my number 2. It's pretty cool. It's neat because I watched him build that whole thing on Facebook, step by step. That's an actual clodbuster body that he somebody had already made into an extended cab, and he pinched the front and the rear and made it look nice and smooth, painted it up real good, and did his magic on it. He's pretty handy with the styrene. So it's pretty cool. It's neat to have somebody I know on the same page as me. But that's pretty exciting. I've talked about it before. I grew up reading RC Car Action, and it's gone a long way since the 90s, and it's neat to be in there. So what's next? I've been getting asked if I still have this, and I still have that, and I do still have the Blazer. It is taken apart currently, and it is sold pending payment. Selling it to a friend of mine. We worked the deal. I hate to get rid of it because I'm pretty excited about it. I like the way it is, but that's a problem because I like the way it is and I can't change it. I can't bring myself to do anything drastic with it, and it's boring having a rig that you don't want to change. I'm sure if I keep it, I'll find something to modify, something to do with the scale V8 maybe, or I don't know, lose the roof rack. I've been through a couple different ideas, a couple different rear bumpers and stuff, but I don't know. I'm just at an impasse right now. If the deal goes through, I mean, I'm getting a fair price for it, so I'm not going to be too upset about it. And besides, I can always build another one. I've got another Trail Finder 2 frame sitting right there behind it with that red Hilux on it. Excuse me. So, if I want to, I could build it. I could build another one. I could buy another body, make a mud truck. Or I could just keep it and have it sitting on the shelf like it has been. There's other things I'd like to do to it, but I don't know. It is what it is. That thing is, I just can't bring myself to change it. So that's where I'm at with the Blazer. I do still have the, I've actually had a lot of people interested. Everybody loves the Tamiya stuff. I do still have my TA02 short wide kit, and I have not touched it since the last video. It is still running the HPI drift tires and all the little custom doodads that we did to make it work. and it has absolutely zero front suspension travel because the tires are so small. But it was set up to be a drift car, and I don't know. I just don't want to drive it yet because I don't have a body, and I love the Porsche body. I just hate Lexan. I'm terrible at working with it, and I'm scared to paint it because I'm so bad at working with Lexan. But I don't know. I'd originally thought I was gonna do like a weathered out. I was gonna paint it on the outside. I was gonna peel the masking off, paint it on the outside with Lexan paint, and then come back and rust it here and there, and make it look like an old race car that somebody had pulled out of a barn. And I still may do that. It's hard. I've had a lot of bad experience with Lexan. I mean, growing up in the 90s, that's all we had was Lexan bodies. So, I don't know yet. I haven't finished trimming it. I did the main lines, but I haven't rounded out the fenders just because it's messy. I didn't want to mess up my shop at the time that I did this. But that's kind of what I was thinking. I was going to do a patina, kind of a rat rod Porsche. I know that's kind of being done in real life now. People are running out of 20s and 30s hot rods, so they're branching out to other things, which is cool. I love it. It's part of it's just creativity. Desperation breeds new ideas because we're running out of the traditional things to build. People are looking beyond that, looking into European cars like vintage Porsches. That's why I've weathered the wheels and stuff, because that's the direction I was going. So yeah, I do need to finish trimming it, and I got to figure out how I'm going to mask off the windows and paint it from the outside. Because that's the thing with Lexan bodies, the window masks are notoriously awful. To me, are a little better, but they're still not perfect. And you have the indentations for like the weather stripping and the trim and stuff around the windows, and it's really hard to not screw it up, especially for me because I don't have a steady hand, and it's always been an issue of mine. But we may end up going through with that because there's just no other options for bodies for this. I've been through eBay. I've spent nights on eBay trying to find something with this wheelbase, looking at old Radio Shack and just any toy grade body that I could find. I've checked the measurements, and just there's nothing that fits this at all. Even the standard touring car wheelbase, like a HPI Sprint 2 or a standard TAO2, not the short wide, everything's off a little bit. You see anybody that's got a like a New Bright Corvette or a Camaro or Mustang body. I've had some of the New Bright Mustang bodies before, and they're just off by a few millimeters, and it's always so hard to get it perfect, and that bugs me to death. If the tires are not perfectly centered in the wheel arches, I can't live with myself. I'm just that's a big deal to me. That's part of the scale realism of it, is it has to fit perfect. So that's why I'm so picky about hard bodies, or toy grade hard bodies, because they just never fit quite right. But yeah, that's where that build's at. I did have one thing I want to do. I've got this tractor grill that we talked about. I got it stuck on my wall here. I'm going to go ahead and weather this. This is a Farmall tractor grill that I got from Awesome Designs. And if you hadn't checked him out on YouTube now, he's got a channel. He's trying to hide it, but he has a video walking through his shop. I shared a link on Facebook. He's got a really cool workshop. His 3D printer and everything set up, and it's pretty neat. And if you haven't seen his full 3D printed 1/10 scale Jeep, it's flat fender, old Willis Jeep. It's looking pretty cool. I'm considering getting one. I don't know if I'd make it a rat rod or I'd make it an actual crawler. It's a pretty cool rig. It's hard not to make it because it's so scale. It's so small. So it'd be fun to try to find tires and stuff that would fit right and stuff like that. I like the challenge. I like builds that are challenging. But I'm going to get set up. I'm going to go ahead and hit this with some rust. That's why this is the red color that the number 2 build was painted. And then I came back with a rust finish on top of it, and some dirt and some other grime and other weathering stuff. So I'm going to go through that again, just kind of a practice. And that's just wall art for my scale garage right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get set up. Alright, so a refresher, if you haven't seen the weathering videos, it's good to always clean your brushes. Mine's a little hard, but the tips are alright, so we're going to roll with it. This is an AK Interactive product, it's Rust Streaks, and this stuff is fantastic. I know there's a lot of stuff out there, I've had a lot of folks recommend it to me that actually makes real rust, but I've had really good luck with the fake rust. So I'm just going to go ahead and dip, get the thing saturated, and let it run all over the place. I just want to coat the entire thing down with it. It's going to be a challenge on these fins, trying to get it to stay right. And this is what I did on the entire, all of my completed rat rods. I painted them a color, and then I came back and just covered them in rust. And once it dries, you get that look that they all have. It's just, it's very natural looking. And then on top of that, I'll come back with some of the Vallejo pigment, black pigment, and a pigment binder. And then that kind of gets in the crevices and really adds depth to the shape of whatever it is that you're weathering. It's really not hard to do. I encourage everybody that's interested in it to try it. I mean, I think this product is like $6 or $7 a bottle. Pigment, they're all, I mean, for under 20 bucks you can get started. I think that number 3 build, it took half a bottle of this to do the entire rig, and it's a lot of real estate to cover for not a whole lot of not a whole lot of money. So that's pretty much it. I mean, just kind of glob it on. It'll fall into the cracks. It'll run off the high spots, and ow, hit my elbow. We'll just let it dry here and see what happens. I may go ahead while I've got this out. I can't move it now. I got it wet. See if we can pick it up with some pliers. I'm going to go ahead and bring that Hilux body down here and hit the back end of it and the front corners of it where it was covered by the bumpers. Alright, so you can see this roll pan area. It was hidden by the RC4 drive bumper. So I'm just going to try to blend it in. I got a couple spots on the front too. Some places where some scratches. I'm going to hit up on the tailgate. Back here. I didn't give myself enough room to do this. Yeah, pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to turn it around and hit the front. You can see that corner where the red is showing. I like typically to hit that with some other paint first, but this is just touch up, so I'm not worried about it. This is a good crawler body. It's going to get scratched up and roughed up again anyway, so we'll just see what it looks like once it dries. Go ahead and put a little bit more on there. Alright. Check the back again, make sure there's not any other scratches I need to hit. This body has seen some stuff, man. Been around with me for a long time. You see how it just kind of runs. If I can get this thing to focus without getting... Come on. It runs right down, so I need to wipe those off the center of the tailgate. That's why I have a t-shirt out here. Let's give it a little smear. Probably gonna go ahead and hit that too. Alright. Gotta move the light. This is tricky. I wish I could show you. I don't have another camera I could set up a GoPro. So I got this in front of the camera, but to load the lamp without hitting the other truck. And it's quite a setup here. I don't know. It's been a long week again. I got a lot of really good feedback about this type of format from the video last week. And I'm trying it again. I don't feel like it's going as smoothly, but you know, what can you do? I'm already here. I'm already doing it. I don't know what to change, so we're just gonna roll with it. I didn't have quite as good a plan going into this video as I did the video last week. Last week I was all pumped. I had all these ideas and all this stuff to talk about, and now this one I was just like, I'm building a mud truck. So sorry if it's not quite as put together as last week's video. We probably won't get to do the pigment binder and the black pigment in this video, because that stuff is going to take a while to dry, and it is already almost midnight, which is not a problem for me because I work night shift, but it is a problem for video editing because I don't want to be up till the sun comes up. If the sun comes up and I haven't slept yet, I turn into a vampire apparently. So, kind of halfway clean the brush. I'll put this stuff aside and we'll move on. We'll pick it back up next week. So, I do still have the Amigo. This is the RC 4-wheel drive Trailfinder 2 short wheelbase. And this was a pretty extensive custom build. It's got a full scratch built interior, a cast resin dash and door panels that came from, I think it's Loops Models out of the Czech Republic, maybe. But yeah, it's for a Mitsubishi Pajero. My front bumper, I mentioned, had broken. I had it brazed together. That is on my list of things to fix with my new welder. But I've got to strip all the lights and stuff off. No, I'm not going to get to that tonight since it's already so late. I was really hoping to do some welding out here tonight, but I don't think it's going to happen. Just got carried away with the mud truck. But I love this thing. This is still one of my top favorite rigs. I know most of y'all are probably surprised I'm parting with the Blazer, but I don't think I can part with the Amigo ever. It's just such a rare body. I mean, the Blazer body, yeah, you can still buy them. This thing is so dusty. But this body, you can buy them from Loops Models. They make a new version of it, but it costs about $60 more than the Blazer body, and it's not quite the same. A friend of mine built one, and he had all kinds of issues with it. And it is like a cast material. It's a cast resin. It's not a styrene. So this is an original Tamiya Mew Amigo. Depends on what part of the world you're in. Here in the States, these were Isuzu Amigos. When I was growing up, my mom was obsessed with little SUVs like these. We looked at these. We looked at the Suzukis. We had a Suzuki Samurai for a while. She loved it. She had a little, I don't know what you call them, the little top that makes it like a pickup, and had no top on the back, and it had no air conditioning. And I remember she worked nights, so she would drop me off at my dad's work on her way to work during the summers, and it was hot. God, it was hot. So anyway, I don't know. I like this build. I'm not super set on the dash. The dash is kind of, I mean, it fits the body style and the year, and it goes with the door panels well. But I don't know. It's not an Amigo dash, so I'm not sold on it. And plus, you can see in there the sticker gauges are horrible. It looks like wood grain. The dash itself is cool, and I made it fit. I've got a custom console and all that stuff. If you want to go back, I have videos on building this interior. I'll try to get you a look in there. But it's not the right dash for the body. You see, I've got a custom console with a twin stick shifter and armrest, Coke can, CB radio. So it's pretty complete, but it's not the specific Amigo dash. That bugs me, but overall, I mean, I got personalized plates on this. A friend of mine on Facebook, Ross Armistead, welded this bumper for me. The front one I made. This one he fabricated and sold me. It was pretty cool. He built one of these too. He got one of the Loops bodies, the resin cast bodies. And it has some advantages over this original body. Like, these are just painted taillights. There's no lenses or anything for the rear, as the resin body has actual taillight buckets and stuff like that on the rear. But but I like it. And this was the color I bought it in. I found this in a Facebook group, and I think it came from New Jersey or Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, somewhere up north way. And yeah, I liked it the way it was. It had a fair amount of rock rash on it, as you can see, and it just fit the chassis perfect because the same wheelbase as the Tamiya Jeep Wrangler YJ. I did have a tennis ball on my antenna, but the first time I drove it, I lost it, which was very frustrating because I only had one tennis ball. It was one of the dollhouse accessories. But anyway, it's got some stuff loose inside that were the body mounts and things like that. The body's just sitting on it right now. I can't set it over there. And the chassis is not really anything. There's nothing really special about it. It's a stock short wheelbase, leaf springs, stock shocks, R3 single speed, standard transfer case, has a basic RC four-wheel drive servo, a Novak Rooster Crawler ESC and motor setup that I bought used. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. It's a good trail truck, you know. It's got Yoda 2 axles, spiders that come out of it and crawling across my workbench. So I'm hoping to get this thing back together. It does have a complete steel exhaust running all the way up here. I forgot about that. Let's see if I can show you the exhaust tip. There's this little single exhaust tip. This thing's covered in cobwebs. My janky wire hanger for the exhaust. One of my favorite trucks, though. A little bit of custom work to get the body mounted, but other than that, we just got to fix that front bumper, and she's ready to ride again. I'm just afraid to. I got to take the lights off because I don't want to melt them with the welding. I'm gonna try out my new welder. Weld that thing back on. Everybody remember this old thing? My first scratch-built hot rod. If you haven't seen it before, if you're new to the channel, I've got a full build series on this. All the way from the very beginning when I hacked up a bruiser frame, a vintage Tamiya bruiser frame, and used a whole lot of RC four-wheel drive stuff to put this bad boy together. I've been toying with the idea of changing it a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to mess with the completed rig. That's the thing I face, and same thing with the Blazer body. It's done. It's not complete, not perfect, but it's done, and I can put a battery in it and drive it. And you know, it's this being completely custom built. It's kind of like an evolutionary thing between my hot rods. I've numbered them, so they're all like a learning process, and they're all very unique in their own individual way. So that's why I have a hard time modifying rigs that I've built. And this one I aim to keep it RC. I didn't want it to have a scale hot rod engine under the hood. I wanted to be able to see the RC engine, see the wild cantilever shock setup that I just came up with one day. I mean, that's part of it. But yet, on the same time, I wanted it inside to look like a real car with the exposed transmission and the steering column and the gauges and all that. So that's kind of part of it. I got rusty floorboards and the exposed transmission with the shifter and the skull on it. I don't know. It's hard to change it because it's perfect the way it is in its unperfect state. And I like it. So, I don't know. I've got originally I had some headlights for it, but I had some issues as far as the steering clearance. These were blinkers off of a Posher 1/8 scale Bentley or something. If I can get the dang things over here. And these are solid metal. And you can see some holes up here where I tried to mount them at one point, but they were interfering with the tire. Or I mounted them once and they didn't look right. They were too high, so I brought them down, and then it was hitting the tire. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet. I've got some other headlight buckets that I've repurposed. They're part of some air tools, but I'm not going to show you those in this video because I'm not sure where I'm going to use them yet. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about these, but again, it's hard to modify a finished build. Those are really nice scale parts, and like I said, they're all metal. It would look cool on there having some headlights, but I'd have to put them too high to clear the tire, and it would look silly. I'm not sure if I ever showed. I did finally get some magnets mounted, so the hood opens. There, I got magnets just hot glued inside. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it keeps the hood from popping up. Because if you remember the first driving video we did, the hood was first thing to go. And I found this little helmet. This came with some 1/8 scale model parts. It was already this sparkly blue. I just drew a rough number 1 on the side since I didn't number this build on the door, kind of like the old hot rod look, like the number 2 and 3 have. Should a better look. This is my favorite paint job yet. I mean, the rust and the way the green changed with the rust, with the what is it? The rust streaks. That's what I did this entire body in. It was painted a forest green with the rust streaks over it, and I've added some real rust with some salt and stuff like that. Excuse me. And I love that color. You see so many old hot rods, or old Fords, old Roadsters and Model A's and Model T's and stuff just sitting in fields, and they have that green look to them. And that just, to me, that was perfect. And the color of the wheels is what the interior on my 58 Chevy is. It's the same color, same spray can. I don't know why, that's like almost like a Detroit diesel green, what somebody told me it looked like. But yeah, and I got a little accent of that on the dash, but it's weathered to not look the same, as the wheels are kind of stark clean. But I don't know. I'm still toying with the idea of changing that a little bit. I'd almost rather try to build another one and do it the way I'm thinking, as opposed to modify the original, because it's like a stepping stone, and it's a piece of my history and the channel's history. Silly as that sounds, I've only been doing this for a few years, and that build's only a year old now. I've been getting the Facebook memories of when I started the chassis work on that this month, last year, so it's not that old, but it feels like it's been around forever. And the poor thing's just covered in dust and dirt. Dirt's fine, but the dust isn't. So I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Yeah. Put that away and see what we can play with next. Alright guys, so that's it for this installment. I was just posting a picture on Instagram. I'm happy with this truck. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I've got to address the tire foams. That's a major drawback right now. I hate taking those bead locks apart. Good lord, they're a pain in the butt. But we got to do what we got to do. So I'm going to get on the internet and try to find something for it. Hope y'all like this format still. Like I said, I got lots of good feedback last week. Just trying to make it more real, more natural, just hanging out. I don't feel like tonight was as productive as last week was, but I don't know. I mean, we built a rolling mud truck frame. Let me know what y'all think, what body we should go with on that. I don't know. The Hilux body looks so good on there. It looked good as like a poor man's mud truck. I mean, it's got a 3-link front, leaf sprung rear, Yoda axles. I was hoping to do something a little more crazy with it. More professional mud truck, if there is such a thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really get anything done on the Bruiser. I just, not trying to force these builds. That was one thing that I got caught up doing with before my break, is just trying to, I'd get going on something and I'd kind of lose interest, but I'd keep forcing my way through it, and it wouldn't come out as good as I'd hoped. So that's what I'm trying to do, just take my time, build stuff right. Yeah, but let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all would like to see on the mud truck. I don't know. It's been a long day. It's already 12:36 in the morning, so hoping to have this video out today. So I gotta get to work on that. I have to go eat some dinner. But anyway, I appreciate you spending the Saturday night with me, even though it's probably Sunday already when you see this. But hopefully we can do some more fun stuff next week. This weathering will hopefully be dry by then. I haven't looked at the Bruiser body yet. It looks pretty good so far. see a spot I missed already. I don't know. I really want to weather something. That's kind of why I went ahead and did that, because that's really fun to me, is doing the weathering. I mean, even before when I did this, just some random little G.I. Joe type toy. Looks like a generator. Found it at a flea market. Threw some weathering on it. It looks a lot more real than it did. So I don't know. Maybe we can find us another body here. I've still got the number 4 rat rod body that is in primer. It needs a little bit more sanding, and maybe we can figure out a nice, cool retro paint scheme for that. I don't have a clue yet. You go to Walmart and look at the spray paint and see what catches my eye. That's how I always pick a color, to see what I can imagine on that body. But yep, that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. Everybody, stay tuned for more to come. Be sure to comment below and follow me along on Instagram, RC Everyday, with a little hashtag in front of it. But anyways, I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.